Join us for the Shed Sales Summit, September 22nd in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're going to have a fun-filled day, including Steve Robinson, the former CMO of Chick-fil-A. You won't want to miss this event. Tickets are on sale now at ShedSalesSummit.com. We hope to see you there.
For more than 10 years, JMAG has proudly served the shed industry, helping dealers and manufacturers grow through rent-to-own solutions. What makes them different isn't just what they do, it's how they do it. JMAG focuses exclusively on the shed industry. That means every decision that's made, every relationship that's built, and every solution created is designed with shed companies in mind. JMAG offers more than monthly payment options for your customers. They're your pit crew. Whether you need support, guidance, or someone to help you navigate challenges, they're ready to jump in and help you keep your business firing on all cylinders. When you're ready to take your business to the next level, drive with JMAG. Learn more at jmagllc.com.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Simply Shed Talk Live, where we come to you live from the shed industry. And that's especially true today. I am at a shed lot, as well as Peter is in Georgia at a shed lot as well. So today is really live from the shed industry. But before we get started, really quickly, if you're watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, or any platform, there's a link there. You can click that link. It'll bring you in. You can join the conversation, ask your questions live, or you can comment on wherever you're watching it. We will see your comments live, answer your questions, and don't forget to go to the Simply Shed Talk YouTube, turn on your notifications to get notified when we go live, the Shed Dealers Facebook group, and all of the other great shed-related Facebook pages that graciously allow us to share this to their platform. But, of course, I am your host, Andrew Boyle, back this week again with
Peter Miller here in Dalton, Georgia, and we're excited for another week, excited for who we're going to have on the show this week. And it's getting closer and closer every single day to the Shed Sales Summit, which, as you know, I'm very passionate about.
Yes, absolutely. We have a very special guest with us today, one of our keynote speakers at the Shed Sales Summit, and that is the very own Owen Fitzpatrick. Let me add you to the stage here really quickly. There we go. Good morning, and thank you for coming on the show today. Just introduce to the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are. I know you've talked to Peter a lot, and I've got to know you through him. I'm really excited about meeting you in person, hearing your speech, and reading your book. So, tell us a little about yourself.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Real pleasure to be on with yourself and Peter. I'm Owen Fitzpatrick. I'm a psychologist. I've been delivering talks and keynotes for about 25 years or so. I've worked around the world in more than 33 countries. And the main area of focus for me is on beliefs. So I've traveled to places like North Korea or Rwanda or Afghanistan, interviewing people. I've worked as a therapist. I've worked as an executive coach. And I've been really trying to investigate what makes a person change their mind, what persuades a person to take a particular action, and what does so in an ethical way. And from all of the work I've done, there's a number of insights that I'm really excited to be sharing at the Shed Summit to help you to be able to not only be more convincing or persuasive in the conversations that you have with others, but also the conversations you have with yourself as well.
I know that one of the things that we saw from last year's Shed Sales Summit is we wanted to dive deeper into the psychology of that sale, and that was kind of my mission when we got the feedback after the last year's summit. Is like, okay, we want to listen to our attendees, and we want to bring something of value to that. And Owen, I'm excited to read this new book of yours, Inner Propaganda. One of the things that is really exciting is every single person who attends the Shed Sales Summit is going to get a copy of this new book. Tell me, I guess, thoughts on that book and what you how long it took you to build that together.
Sure. You're going to have to shut me up on this one because I'm talking about the book all the time at the moment because I'm really excited. This is book number 10 for me. But if I was to say It's the most important thing that I've ever worked on. It's been years in the making, and it really is about solidifying this idea of how do we become more persuasive to ourselves and others. Effectively, the book is all about belief. How do you form beliefs you do? And some of the beliefs that you have, perhaps as an entrepreneur, with a small business, for example, those beliefs that you have, some of them are going to limit you. Some of them are going to sabotage your decisions. Some of them are not going to be as useful as they can be. So a big part of the book is helping them to understand the way in which we convince ourselves of things. I call this inner propaganda, how we actually convince ourselves of the beliefs that we hold. And then on the flip side, any of the times we're trying to communicate with our customers, they're going to have their own objections, their own reasons not to buy, their own hesitations, which they might be shooting themselves in the foot. And our goal is to be able to understand their inner propaganda. And so this book is really helping you to understand yourself and others more effectively, understanding why we believe what we do, and helping you to then change it. And the stories inside are like from World War II, from current affairs, from different business examples, my own experiences and stories from travel into North Korea and Afghanistan. It really takes you around the world and back in time to identify the most important insights, and then it blends that with the science behind what makes us be as persuasive as possible. And probably the biggest name in influence is a guy called Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence, which has sold tens of millions of copies at this stage, and he's actually endorsed the book, saying that it shows us stuff that we haven't actually seen before, more to do with the way in which we influence ourselves. So I'm really excited to get it out to the world. I'm really delighted that everybody who's attending is going to get a free copy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things when we were, talking with you, is you're passionate about it, and being able to get that to every attendee is exciting, because they're going to get to meet you, hear your story, and then get to, read your book. And so I've excited about getting your book. I can't wait to read it, but I want to get to know you first, then I'll read it. So I have a little more, back end behind it, but I am excited about it. And, it goes back to, the shed industry and, specific training, but what you're talking about kind of relates to any industry. There's a lot of people out there talking about, I guess you would say, like hard closing and, how to get somebody to say yes, but it's a lot deeper than that. And when we were looking through your content and, talking about it, Peter was very excited about reaching out to you, just because of what we've watched online of your, presentations in the past have been very encouraging. And, there's something about a speaker when you listen to them and you can, you're constantly writing stuff down. Like, I need to do that. I need to be better at that. I need to be better at communicating. And watching your content brought us a lot of value. And we're excited to, to hear you in person at the Shed Sales Summit, and to kind of see what you can bring that we can apply in our everyday life in a shed like we both are today, in between customers, walking in the door. But yeah, we're excited to, to have you there. Looking forward to it. And tell us a little about your story. I'm very intrigued about your North Korea, your Afghanistan visit. What was that like? If you could kind of give us a brief overview of that. That sounds very interesting.
Sure.
Can
Go ahead, Peter?
Interject one thing? I don't know if it's my mic or whatever, but it sounds like there's a little bit of feedback. So I don't know if it's playing on the background, but I did hear that. I don't know if you guys hear that or not. I apologize.
No worries. I'm okay.
Perfect. Then it
All
was
right.
Andrew's side. That's who it is. All right.
So yeah, I suppose my story is when I was a teenager, I struggled with my own mental health. I was actually suicidal for a while, and I went through a journey there where ultimately I was able to get through that piece, and I was able to, not make that terrible decision and continue and move forward and whatnot. And it all happened in a very short space of time. I went from believing that I needed to leave this world to believing that I needed to stay. And from that moment, I became obsessed with trying to understand, well, why did my belief change? So from 14 years old, I started to, do all the reading I could on beliefs. I went to university. I studied psychology. I, went around the world and started interviewing people in places like North Korea, because I figured if you go to North Korea, that's closed off from the world. They're very much a propaganda nation. So if I could spend some time there with folks and learn what it's like and try to expose myself to that. In Iran, in Afghanistan, everywhere I went, my goal was to try to ask questions, to learn. In Rwanda, there was obviously a horrific genocide where a huge portion of the population turned around and murdered almost 1 million people over the course of like 100 days or so. So I've always been fascinated with that. I've been fascinated with World War II. I've been fascinated in the current times how, you know, entire nations can turn around and, you know, do what they do. And so it started at that level, me trying to understand myself and then me understanding the world. And then as I went through it, I realized that a lot of the same mechanisms that happen in these nations happen inside our head. And so what we think is, if we're trying to be persuasive, is, you know, in terms of promoting our businesses, we think it in terms of the dollar signs. Okay, it's all about money, or it's all about this. But we instinctively, intuitively know that the relationships we build in the industry we're in determine a large part of how well we will succeed in that industry. It's not a price game, it's a relationship game. And the reason it's a relationship game is because of the way in which the brain works. And so fundamentally, the more I travel, the more I realize that feelings matter so much more than we think. Aristotle, more than 2,000 years ago, said there's 3 important elements to persuasion. There's ethos, which is about how credible you are as a person. There's logos, which is how credible your message is logically, right? Which is where you give them the evidence, or you give them the best price, or you explain logically why they should go with you. But then there's a third piece, pathos. And pathos is something we don't always pay enough attention to, but it really becomes the main reason why people make decisions. And so a large part of the work I do is helping people to start to create more emotional appeals in the way in which they communicate. And emotion could be making them laugh. Emotion could be, you know, creating urgency. Emotion could be creating desire. Emotion could be making them feel confident in you, or making them feel a sense of certainty. So what I like to do is, there's lots of sales tactics and sales techniques out there. What I like to do is go beyond them and go beneath them, and to be able to look at it and go, what actually makes a person say yes and mean yes? Because there's 2 types of yeses. There's yeah, and then there's yes. And I'm interested in the second yes. What makes people not just comply, but what makes people convinced that this is a good decision, and what does so ethically? And that's really what I share or teach. The 2 elements that I think are most important, one I've mentioned already, which is emotion. The other one is identity, and what it means to be the kind of person who uses this product or service. It doesn't matter what industry it's in. But in terms of, let's say, for example, the shed industry, when you talk about the reasons for it, a large part of it, obviously, there's a practical, the main thing is the practical element of what it means to own a shed, but there's feelings that are caught up with that. There's a feeling of security that's caught up with it, right? When you store things in your shed, there's a relationship you have to those things, and the shed becomes an outside part of your identity. And I think it's really important for us that when we are having conversations with our clients and customers, that we know how to be able to connect them with the identity of who they are as the person with regards to owning a shed, and as well as the feelings that make them make the decision in the first place. When we make a decision, we largely make it based upon emotion. So it's not that we just go in always thinking practically and logically. And that's what I found from all the journeys, from all the work. It started out as my own mental health struggle, and it turned into a sort of an odyssey or journey where I just tried to understand everything I could, from the brain and neuroscience right the way through to, like I said, conversations with different folks. And I share that now with businesses and small business owners and medium business size owners, that is designed to be able to help them to have better conversations so that they can build better relationships, and therefore they can really increase the value of the work that they do.
You know, I like that. That really explains it very well, as far as the perspective. I mean, diving into that part of it, that excites me, listening to how you talked about the different elements of that, and going into that. One of the questions I would have, because maybe this is very surface level, but this is one of the things that a lot of people will get in the shed sales. You talked about, you know, the decision making and such. A lot of times, guys that come into a shed lot, if they're by themselves, they're going to use this excuse of, I need to talk to my wife.
Sure.
And diving into that, that would be one of the objections that, you know, salespeople would do. What do you see in your, you know, from your perspective on that? Is that just an excuse to get them back to give more time? They want to pass the buck over to the wife to make the decision, or what do you see as far as the psychology of that?
Well, I think when you get an objection like that, it could be an objection or it could be a stall. right? And the difference is the objection is it's a legitimate objection, right? They're making the decision together. Their wife wasn't able to make it with them. But it also could be a stall, as in, I don't want to make a decision now. I'm hesitating. Therefore, let me just buy some time by saying this. And so the first step would be to figure out whether or not this is an objection or if it's a stall. And the way you might do this is just to try to create a conditional close, let's say, where you're going, okay, if this was, okay, how soon would you move forward? And you're having a conversation presupposing that they're able to get it closed. But you also want to then go, okay, so if, for example, their partner, their wife is holding them back from making the decision, I'd be asking questions about what their wife is looking for, what's important to their wife, what they know. And a lot of times, if they give you that, they should know what their wife has said before. It's not that people go, I'm going to go out and buy a shed. And your wife says, well, wait for me, or, don't buy anything without consulting me first. It doesn't really go like that. Oftentimes, the wife will be discussing it a little bit more with them, give a sense as to what matters. And even if they don't, the husband will still have an idea as to what's important to the wife. So I think a large part of it is being able to try to draw in the wife, even when she's not in the room, try to bring her in, respect her as an important part of the team. And then almost, if he's ready to go, or if he's likes the idea, then it's arming him to be able to have that conversation, providing him with sound bites, providing him with a clear way to frame whatever it is that, the decision that he's ready to make, so that when he goes there, he's ready to have that conversation. Because if it really is an objection, it doesn't matter how much, you try to push the sale. Even if you do push the sale, now you've made him feel bad, because now he has to go inside his head going, how am I going to explain this when I get home? Whereas if you arm him and you provide him with what it is that he needs for her specifically, and this is the important piece, it's not like, here's a sales pitch, here, show her this brochure. It's trying to ask questions and trying to understand what matters most to her, and then finding ways to create a connection between what matters most to her and what the offer is, and then providing him with what he needs to do in order to say that. So sharing that, I think, is really important. And I think even creating what I would argue is a good idea is creating a customized pitch, even if it's a one-pager, that focuses on the kinds of things that his wife is interested in. And I think that extra bit of thoughtfulness will go a long way, because ultimately, if she's at home and he walks home from, let's say, a number of different vendors or places, and he gives them, this is a standard brochure, and then one of them speaks to what she cares about, well, that's going to be the gimme from that perspective. And we don't often think like that, because we're not willing to put in the extra effort just in case it doesn't work. But that extra effort is about her psychology. It's about how you're making her feel, because ultimately that's the decision here, right? I'm sure that he or she are not experts in sheds. They're not walking in there with an incredible amount of genius about exactly what they need. And they have a general sense of it. And that's what you're there for, to be able to ensure they make the best decision for them. But the key word there is them. And as a couple, it's really important that she feels empowered and she feels like she is having a say. And the more that you treat her great, even if she's not there, the more likely you are to win. Does that help? Does that make sense at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this industry is a very big relationship industry, more than any other industry that I know of, as far as it's built on relationships. The industry as a whole of dealers and owners it's a very good industry built on relationships. And I tell my people that I work with or bring on board, with a customer coming in the door, sometimes you don't have but a handful of customers a day. So between customers, you might, get, lazy or sitting down, not, want to anticipating that customer. And so what kind of advice would you give on when that customer walks in, on greeting that customer? And I like to say making a friend within the first 2 minutes. What can you, how would you overcome that? They're walking in as a stranger, and within 2 minutes they're your friend, or they trust you, or whatever you want to put there.
So there's a couple of things. The first is, I always suggest you think through, what is the feeling? What are the feelings? Let's say, what are 3 feelings that I want that customer to have within the first 5 minutes of walking in? the three feelings, and whatever they are. And that will depend, of course, on whatever your unique selling proposition is. That'll depend on your personality. That'll depend on the kind of customers that you like to have. That'll depend on where you're based as well, because culturally certain things are more valued. If you have a place in a big city and things are like very fast, and efficiency might be a value that mightn't be in somewhere which is much smaller. So it's going to be, what are the three feelings you want them to feel, and then what are some actions you could take to create that feeling, right? And that could be like a sense of certainty, for example. What is something that you could do very quickly? And it could be even, how do you sculpt out the environment? For example, if there's some sort of certification or something that when they walk in, they say, okay, this place is legitimate. This place is really, I can bring this to the bank and cash it. This is good. So it's, what is it that you could do in your environment? What is it you could do with your demeanor? What is it you could do with the first few things that you say to create those feelings? That's the first thing. The second thing is a trick I love to use whenever I'm meeting people for the first time. And I ask myself three questions. Question number one, and this is like something I ask in the back of my mind while I'm talking to them. But the first question is, what do I like about them? Not do I like them? Not do they like me? Not what kind of person are they? What do I like about them? Because it trains your brain to start to focus on all the things you like about them. And that in turn affects you unconsciously. It makes you significantly more likely from a behavioral standpoint to actually be a lot friendlier, because you're orienting yourself and your brain and your attention to what you like about them. The second question is, how are they similar to me? Not are we similar? Not have we got anything in common? Not are they different? What do we have in common? How are they similar to me? You're looking for that. You're assuming that. And as a result of that, once more, your natural way of communicating with them will immediately resonate, because you're focusing on what you both have in common, and you're instantly creating that vibe or that feeling with them. And then the third one is, and this is related to kind of the first piece, how can I make them feel good in this interaction? How can I be the bright spot in their day? Let's imagine this person comes in and they're interested in perhaps buying a shed. But let's say they walk out of this place and they decide not to buy anything. What is the experience that they would have to have, even if they don't buy, that would make them say, I had this really, that would make them talk to their partner when they go home and go, you know what? I talked to these guys at the place I went to get a shed, and you know what? They're so like whatever that is, whatever you want to create a bright spot in their day. So you're not in that moment thinking about the sale. You're thinking about making it so that they walk into you and they go, wow. It's like, when I used to travel a lot, I'd travel like 100 flights a year or so. So I was on the road every 3 or 4 days. And one of the things I did was I created a game where every single time I met an airline employee, I would aim to be the bright spot in their day. And so I would go up, I'd make her laugh, or I'd joke around, or I'd, buy them a gift voucher for stuff. Like I'd do different things to try to make it so that at the end of their day, this was one bright thing. And just doing that, I got lots of benefit. I never asked for it, but they would, I would find myself getting the best seats. I'd be upgraded a bunch of times. And I think it's important that I wasn't doing it as some sort of sales trick. I was doing it because it made me feel really good to do it. And I think when we look for what we like about a person, we look for how we're similar to them, and we look to be the bright spot in their day, that creates such a great vibe for them. And then if you add to that the 3 specific feelings you want them to walk away with, I think that really helps ensure that when they walk in, they're like, I want to come back. I just want to chat to, if they come back to you because they want to chat to you, that is demonstrative that you are really creating a great first impression.
Absolutely. You're creating a memorable experience with that person, and it's changing the outcome of how they look at you and your business. One of the things I want to throw in here is Owen is going to be speaking to us at the Shed Sales Summit, but you're also going to be on our panel that we're going to be having. And so there will be people, that have questions. I want to let you know, shedsalessummit.com. You can get your tickets there, but also if you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a place to be able to put some questions in that we would be able to then bring out and ask Owen and the other panelists that'll be there. Also, there's going to be a VIP session that Owen will be in at the end of the event. So if you are a VIP ticket holder, you'll have that opportunity to sit down with Owen and Steve Robinson and some of the others that'll be there. I've really got a lot from what you've said already today on this short show. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm excited to see what this Shed Sales Summit is going to bring and what it's going to do for the shed industry as well.
Thanks so much, Peter. I mean, look, I love this stuff, and I'm really excited to be sharing the ideas, with everyone at the event, and appreciate you and Andrew, and appreciate this conversation today. I hope people have taken a few ideas away from it and could start to apply it straight away, because that's really what it's about. It's not about being just inspired. It's not about being motivated. It's about going, okay, what can I do tomorrow in order for me to be able to, be even more effective at what I do? And a large part of it is what they're already doing great. And what you're already doing great is making people feel really good when they do business with you, because they're the people that want to keep coming back. And that's what builds amazing relationships. So really excited to share, and excited to get my book into everyone's hands.
Yeah, I think what you said about making, doing something nice for somebody. Jared on America Builds Better, his intro says something about go and do something good for somebody today and it'll make you feel good, I promise, or something like that. A good quote like that. And, that's the thing. People ask a lot of times, like in their shed business, what can I do to get sales up or do this? And it's like, I think they're expecting it to be like this one thing. You just do this one thing, and then all of a sudden your sales are going to go up 75%, and you're going to be the number one in your area. But a lot of time it's just those little things that you do every day in your business. And one of those is being intentional on making somebody's day. Having stuff, a lot of times people look, and I'm, have been guilty in the past, is like you're always trying to figure out how to make a little more money or how to do this. But when's the last time we looked at our business like, how can we help somebody? How can we do something that it creates a better experience? Having we were up there at Heritage Structures, and they have custom water bottles and custom maple syrup. That doesn't really necessarily, they didn't start doing that and all of a sudden their sales went up. But they're creating that experience of giving a gift to that person and creating that memorable experience. So, it's always interesting to look at your business and like, what can I do that's going to make somebody's day, that's going to be memorable? And it's just those little things. And I encourage you, when you come to the Shed Sale Summit, make sure you bring a notebook. We might provide one, I don't know. But get your pen ready, because you're going to be getting a lot of little nuggets that you can take back to your shed business or whatever industry that or shed supplier or whatever you do. But little things like this make the big days. So great thought. And I can't, hopefully you talk more about that in your speech, but that's just what this industry needs, is ideas like that.
And I think just one thing on top of that as well, Andrew, when we were talking earlier about it's hard sometimes to get the energy up, right? Let's imagine you're sitting there, someone comes in and you're just tired, or you've already talked to loads of people that day, or whatever the mood is like. When you think about like these extra going above and beyond, and right, you've got the, this maple syrup or whatnot, or this, it's all designed to create a feeling. But the greatest thing that you have that can help you to create a feeling is absolutely free. Now, I'm not suggesting that, don't make those investments. I think that's wonderful. I think it creates the experience. But simply you sitting there at that moment, if you can just focus on how can I make this person have a great experience, that's free. That doesn't, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to give them anything for free. You just have to give them an incredible experience, which means focusing on them, paying attention to them, and making it so that your 100% attention is on them at that moment. And we live in a world which is very fractured in terms of attention. So someone's talking to you and they're busy reading their phone a lot of times. And so when you give a person your undivided attention, and you make them feel really heard, listened to, you're able to reflect back what they're looking for, you're asking them pointed, curious questions, that gives them a feeling they don't get that much in the modern world. And not only is making you feel good because it's a good thing to do, but it actually also will translate into an amazing experience for them. And it's free. You don't have to invest anything. All you got to do is invest a little bit of, okay, ready to make them feel good. And instead of going, I need to get the sale, the first step should be, I need to make this an incredible experience, and then hopefully get the sale as a result. And of course, you're going to try to close. Of course, you're going to try to steer them in the direction that will help them to solve their problem or achieve what they want. But if we first go, number one goal is I want to make their day, that makes it a lot easier for us to get the requisite energy that we need when we're sitting down, when we don't feel like it. because it's something that we can all do. And again, it's free. It requires zero investment except for a little bit of energy that you invest in that moment. But the results can be incredible.
Man, I don't know how else that could be said, but it's perfect. And I really enjoy listening to you. I do thank you for taking the time. I know we try to keep this to 30 minutes, and Owen, you took out of your day to be able to come on here, and we definitely appreciate that. I am looking forward to making somebody's day today. I'm here in a shed lot, and we're gonna be memorable. We're gonna bring joy to somebody. We're gonna make their day and solve the problem that they may be coming to us with. But by doing it, by bringing them joy, and then taking it not as a dollar symbol, but as a help to them, and then in return we may get that sale out of it. And with that, I don't know if you have anything else to say, Andrew, but I just want to say thank you for coming on, Owen.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. Looking forward to seeing you in Knoxville, September 22nd. Can't wait to see you, hear you, get to know you, and then read your book. But thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Thanks a million, Pete. Take it easy.
Have a great day.
That is September 22nd, the Shed Sale Summit in Knoxville, Tennessee. Go to shedsalesummit.com. Get your ticket. You're not going to want to miss it. We've listened to hours of his presentations, and we feel like it's going to be a great fit for the industry. You heard some little golden nuggets there that would be very relatable to our industry on how do we set ourselves apart from everybody else and every other industry and create that experience, that memorable moment that our people, our customers, our guests will remember. Lastly, don't forget, we have the National Shed Show coming up February 22nd through 25th, 2027 in Daytona Beach, Florida. Booths are open now. The map is open, so you can go in there and get that best spot. That is nationalshedshow.com, and you can reserve your booth there. You can register right now. It is free to register. So register, get your hotel room. We would love to see you guys there in February.
One thing I did want to talk about. So I'm up here in Dalton, Georgia, and I was over in Knoxville yesterday. I got to meet with a couple of the guys from the NSRA, and I think this is something that I want to put out there just to make sure so people know schedule-wise. Last year, we were on Monday, and NSRA was on Tuesday, but this year it's flip-flopped. So the NSRA starts on Monday, and then they go Tuesday morning, the September 22nd. So September 21st, Monday evening is the kickoff for the NSRA, and then Tuesday morning is the NSRA, but then Tuesday afternoon, September 22nd at 2 p.m. is the start of the Shed Sale Summit. Registration starts at 12:30 p.m. It's at the Makers Exchange, which is in the Marriott Hotel, right there in downtown Knoxville. We have a special code going on right now. You guys just heard Owen Fitzpatrick. He's going to be speaking there. You guys are going to get a book. You go on shedsalesummit.com, get your tickets, book your hotel Monday night if you need coming in Monday for the NSRA and you need a hotel room that Monday night. It's right there on shedsalesummit.com. And then you can save some money right now with the code USA250 when you book your tickets, and that'll save you some money. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to Andrew or you can reach out to myself. My cell phone number is 863-673-7941. And then Andrew just put his up on the screen. We look forward to seeing you guys in Knoxville. Reach out to me if you have any questions at all, and we can't wait to see you there at the Shed Sale Summit and the NSRA, along with the Shed Builder Expo.
Yes, thank you guys so much. We will see you next week.